Let's talk ads and drops for Week 19 in fantasy basketball coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. We're going to take a look at fantasy ads and drops here for the last week before fantasy basketball playoffs start. Before we get started, of course, if you like this type of content, don't be afraid. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye out for when we hit 1,000 subscribers. We will be doing a giveaway for that Anthony Edwards PSA 9 slab. Let's get into it here. We're going to start in San Antonio. Trey Jones, 67% owned, 23 minutes per game here over the course of last week. 7 points, 2.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 40% from the field, 100% from the line. Somebody I would consider dropping. His last game off, he took off for rest. Really hasn't looked himself since the return here. San Antonio might end up giving more responsibilities to Malachi Branham and Devontae Graham as the season comes to a close here, making Trey Jones less valuable with less usage, of course. And we haven't really seen the team at full strength, so when Vassell gets back and everybody is back into the roles, I could really see them diminishing minutes here for Trey Jones. Next up, we're going to go to Miami. Kyle Lowry, 65% owned. No stats for last week because he's been injured. This is the point in the season here where we really got to cut ties with people who will likely either not be playing or not be making a significant impact when they do get back to playing here. Kyle Lowry is one of those guys. He's likely to see restrictions if he does happen to enter into any games, and at this point, you need to fill that spot with somebody who you can kind of count on for some type of stats. So if you're holding on to Lowry, I'd say the return's not worth it there. You can let him go. Up next, we're going to go to Oklahoma City. Lou Dort, 50% owned, 31 minutes per game last week, 13.3 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 36% shooting from the field, 73% from the line. We all know Lou Dort's not a sharp shooter. He's not a knockdown shooter here, but he does typically get better counting stats, more points when SGA is out of the lineup. But now that he's back, we can expect Lou Dort to revert back to pedestrian type numbers here. 31 minutes in his last game with SGA, 4 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist on 1 for 9 shooting. So that pretty much tells you what you can kind of expect here for Dort. I mean, he's not going to be shooting 11% for the rest of the season, but certainly not going to be worth hanging on to for a roster spot, if you can, especially if you can find somebody who's going to be a little bit better off there for you. Up next, we're going to go to Brooklyn. Kind of like Kyle Lowry, we have Ben Simmons, 54% owned. No stats last week. He's still dealing with knee soreness and back inflammation. He doesn't have a clear roster spot. What are we doing, guys? Let's just drop him. There's no point holding on to him here. He's not going to be viable for the rest of the season, I'm sure. Next up, we're headed to Atlanta. Onyeka Okongwu, 56% owned, 18 minutes per game here last week, 7.8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 53% shooting from the field, 91% from the line. Love the potential of Onyeka. He's going to be a must-roster player probably as early as next season, but he's currently stuck behind Capella, limits his relevance for the rest of the season here. He's kind of like a quasi-Brandon Clark. How much we've been kind of beefing on him over the course of the season because of his lack of playing time here. I see the same thing for Okongwu. So if you do decide you want to hang on to him here, just be prepared for low 20s, high teens type minutes, and hopefully low end production if you get that from him for the rest of the season. All right, let's take a look at 5 players that you should be picking up on your teams here. We're going to start in Washington. DeLon Wright, 51% owned, 33 minutes per game, 11 points, 4.5 rebounds, 6.8 assists, 2.8 steals, 55% shooting from the field, 100% from the line. DeLon Wright has always been a steal specialist. The difference, of course, this season, especially right now, is he's getting a lot more minutes. 33 minutes per game here last week definitely makes him a must-roster player here. Morris's injury, of course, is playing into this, but also I think DeLon is getting more minutes because he's showing quality of play. So we should be able to see this type of production going forward for the rest of the season, even if Morris happens to come back and chew into some playing time. Up next, we're going to go to Memphis. Tyus Jones, 62% owned. The word's out, of course, on Ja Morant, so the ownership on Tyus Jones has been skyrocketing. 21 minutes per game here last week, 10 points, 1.8 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 1.8 steals, 48% shooting from the field, 100% from the line. Ja Morant saga, of course, makes Tyus Jones a must-roster player until Ja returns, whenever that's going to be. I wouldn't expect production like the last game that Tyus played here. That would be the 25 points, 12 assists, 5 steals, 5 threes. You're not going to see that from him every night, but he's certainly going to get you decent production with an elite assist-to-turnover ratio and solid on the steals. So I would say pick him up. Don't hesitate. If he's out there on your league here, get him on your team right away and ride him until Ja comes back. Up next, we are going to Houston. Terry Eason, 49% owned, 29 minutes per game here last week, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1.3 steals, 1.3 blocks, 56% shooting from the field, 69% from the line. He's going to hurt you in free throws. Not really a source of assists, but he's going to basically chip in every other category, and he's playing the most minutes of the year here to this point. Being rewarded with extra playing time because he's actually playing well. And of course, Houston's a tanking team, so they're going to be giving more minutes to their younger players. This isn't because of an injury opportunity or anything like that there. Eric Gordon's trade out of Houston has opened up some extra minutes for certain players, and Terry Eason, and along with KJ Martin, have both been benefiting from that move. Up next, we're going to go to Portland. Cam Reddish, 45% owned, 32 minutes per game last week, 15.4 points, 3.8 rebounds, 3.2 assists, 1.2 steals, 47% shooting from the field, 77% from the line. He's showing solid 7 category contributions here, not really factoring in on blocks, and he's turning over the ball a little bit too much that you like to see there. Over the last couple of weeks, he's been a player that I would roster ahead of Matisse Thybulle. Anthony Simons' ankle sprain, this is his 3rd game off in a row. He's probably going to be on and off here for a bit, at least for the next week or so. It gives Reddish his current opportunity to some extra playing time, and he's really cashing in over the last couple of games. And last but not least, we're going to go to Washington. Daniel Gafford, 45% owned, 28 minutes per game last week, 12 points, 6.8 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1 block, 75% shooting from the field, 67% from the line. Gafford is now healthy, and we've spoken about him here in the past. Low-end double-double, kind of like a Nick Claxton light type player. Certainly worth rostering if he's getting 28 minutes per game here. You can certainly do worse with a lot of players that are currently owned in that center position. So if he's out there, certainly give him a look. And as long as he's in the jumbo lineup there with Kristaps Porzingis, he will be worth owning. And that's going to do it for this episode. If you like this type of content, again, don't hesitate to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We are going to sign off for now, but we are going to catch you guys on our next episode.